Proportional Response, Book 1, Chapter 26, Part 2, No Good Deed. One more night. If I can keep the doctor away from him for a little longer, we can have one more night. Eldia leaned over and gave Henry another quick peck, careful not to disturb the arm that still had to be in a sling, then sat back up on the bench beside his wheelchair. He used his good arm to toss another pellet at the pond, and one of the flying floating creatures, which Henry claimed resembled his world's ducks in action, if not appearance, raced to grab it. He looked over to her and smiled a broad, easy smile. It lit her world and broke her heart. He thinks he is done, that he is out of it because the war is over. Let him keep the illusion a little longer. The doctor came down the walk towards them, his pace easy but with purpose in his step. I could take Henry and run. Maybe if I pushed him away from here, the man will give up and wait another day. The last week had been wonderful, despite Henry's injuries. He'd been more relaxed, even happier than she'd ever seen him. He smiled a lot, with a smile she'd only ever seen in their quietest moments alone, when they spoke of all the things they'd do. Then he finished his chores. She'd asked Henry, at some point, why he kept letting everyone call him Mr. Archer instead of insisting they use his first name. He'd told her that he liked hearing them not call him Ambassador anymore. Now, the doctor came to take all that away. No, it is worse than that. He is coming to tell me I have to take it all away. Why? 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 Oh, why, doctor? Did you have to come chase us down out here? Couldn't you leave us a few more hours of peace? Henry caught her change of mood and looked around with an air of curiosity. Oh, bless him. He thinks it's done. She stared daggers at the doctor, tried to will him away, but the man kept coming. Henry finally followed her gaze, saw who approached, and turned back to her with a suspicious look. Damn it. Now I've given the game away and he'll probably be upset with me. The doctor reached them and interrupted her thoughts. Greetings, Ambassador Archer. Eldia. Henry's countenance darkened, and his eyes narrowed at the honorific. Call me Henry, please. The doctor hesitated a moment, his eyes raised, but only a moment. Thank you, Henry. I am here to tell you that your treatment is mostly finished. You should be clear to leave the induced gravity zone of the hospital in a couple of days, and you can resume your duties at that time. You are also clear to, well, pay attention to the outside world again, and all that is going to entail. I have it on strong authority, mostly that of the increasing volume of email I am getting, that there are a number of very high-ranking persons in the Confederation who are going to want to brief you as soon as possible. So I guess it is good you are out here, without your phone. The doctor speared her with a look, part sympathy, part fatherly amusement, part accusation, then gave her a subtle wink. He gave me an out. Or tried to. It would mean can't do it. Still, it was good of him to try. That said, most of my job is done. We will keep the monitors on you for the next 2 days, while you are in the hospital. Please remember that you still have physical therapy and a fair bit of recovery left, and you need to take it easy in a physical sense. Do you have questions? Henry looked at the man for several moments before he spoke. Not many. I assume I can have unfettered access to my tablet and computer now. Good. Please forward anything I need to know in terms of my recovery to my email. Thank you, Doctor. I feel far better than I have a right to, and I know it. I honestly was somewhat surprised when I woke up at all. You and your people have done a miracle. They spoke for a few moments more, general pleasantries and such. Then the doctor took his leave. Henry then turned to her with a somewhat worried face. Okay, let's start with Prime Minister Caslow, and why he hasn't been by to see me. Eldia's hands flushed. This is going to be worse than I thought. He isn't Prime Minister, Henry, and that's basically why he hasn't been here to see you. No, don't look alarmed. He is fine. It is just... Please understand. You saw the doctor's briefing. We couldn't let you get upset or emotional, and any conversation with Kaz would have been nearly impossible to turn away from the topic without getting you upset, if for no other reason than that near psychic ability of yours to tell what people are thinking. He grasped her hand and gave her a lopsided grin. Okay, it has been weeks now, and Killentar was finally legally removed, so there should have been a vote by now to elect someone else. even if only to an interim position. There are protocols for votes to be held if the council chamber is unusable, but the assault seemed more focused on killing people than doing damage. So, Kaz should be at least interim. Her face fell with every one of his words, and she couldn't seem to stop it. He noticed and finally wound down. She felt a tear at the edge of her eye and fought the urge to look away. Okay, my love, I will admit that I kept you out here because I wanted you to myself for one more night, and didn't really think the doctor would come out and find us. I am guessing he has a lot of powerful people pushing him hard though, and was left with little choice. I will tell you the things you have to know, but I will also tell you now that you don't want to know any of them. That said, let me get through it before you interrupt, please. If you get started, I may not be able to bring myself to tell you all of it. Also, know before I start that I am with you, and I always will be. I want us to be married as soon as possible, and I will be whatever you need me to be through all this. He nodded, silently, as if he'd already started to keep the promise. Kaz isn't Prime Minister because most of the council flatly refuses to hold the vote. They have decided, with something closer to a unanimous decision than I think anyone has ever heard of, on who they want for PM, and it isn't Kaz. It is the man who wielded pen and word for years to keep the Xaltan monsters at bay, and who fought so hard, so ferociously, and so recklessly to save all of their lives, that he very nearly gave his own life in the process. After what happened, after the way things went down, they don't want the figure who stood in the middle of everything and didn't take a side. They want the man who won, and who saved them all in a feat of heroism. Henry's eyes went wide, and he began to shake his head. Slowly at first, then, with increasing vehemence. She reached up and took his head in her hand. He stopped the movement, but refused to meet her eye. Yes, my darling, they want you will settle for nothing less. Your own politicians are salivating over it, of course. One of the hardest people to fend off has been your Confederation's president. She is here, on the council world, by the way. There was nearly an armed standoff between the colonel and her security detail. In fact, if the colonel hadn't been here himself... She shook her head to clear it. I'm sorry, I'm straying off track. You have become the center of all council politics after you tried so hard to get yourself killed. Every news network in leak space has been playing interviews of one person or another whose life you saved. To hear a lot of the news media talk, one might think that you single-handedly killed every invading Zoltan and were the sole rescuer of every man, woman, child, and other sort of sapient in the complex. Her Majesty is publicly singing your praises, of course, and has delivered a formal thanks for keeping her brother, Enibol, and the rest of Her Majesty's subjects alive. Semi-privately, she is pissed enough to chew nails that the plan is going to have to go to hell and put you behind the lectern. Privately, she's upset at the turn of events, but fully understands and is, in fact, grateful to you. Kaz thinks the entire thing is hilarious, and said to extend his deepest sympathies. In the meantime, there is a single Sultan corvette maintaining orbit. They announced their presence, told Space Control that Mendesh was in charge, that they had Kilintar prisoner, and that they would only discuss the terms of Sultan's surrender with you. They have refused all contact since. There, you feel your heartbeat. You feel the heat in your cheeks. That is why we haven't told you any of this before now. The treatments they put you through are fragile things, and you getting this sort of excited, even as recently as yesterday, could have killed you. So please forgive me. His eyes had hardened as she spoke, but they softened again. She forced herself not to cry. That wasn't fair to him. He reached up with his good hand and pulled her head down to him, kissed her forehead. You did what you had to do, my love. I'm pissed about it, don't get me wrong, but you had little choice. I guess, if you can forgive me for being so cavalier about trying to keep myself alive, I can forgive you. He gave her that signature grin of his before he continued. In fact, once I pull out the fury and deal with it, I will probably be more than okay with it. The last 2 weeks have been wonderful, despite the pain of my recovery. I felt, at any moment, like I might just float free of the ground, now that I didn't have the weight of billions of souls on my shoulders. He slumped a little, then shook his head and sat up straighter. No, I'm not going back. We are not going back, one way or another. If I have to hijack a ship and flee leak space, I am not going back. He closed his eyes, then turned his face to the sky. I have been at this for so long, darling. Longer by far than I even expected to live when I was young. Maybe part of me was trying, subconsciously, to get myself killed, so that they couldn't drag me back, so I could rest.